want to thank everyone for being here. It's important to look back, but more importantly, to look forward, to talk about some of the things that we will be working on in the new year. But before I look back on the year, I want to take a look back on this past week. I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank the men and women of the city workforce who kept Rochester going throughout the state of emergency declared last week. That includes, but not limited to, the Water Bureau crews who immediately responded to and spent the holiday weekend repairing the broken water main on Favor Street so we could get the boil water notice lifted as quickly as possible. I also want to thank the operations crew who salted and plowed the roads to keep our streets open and then kept the refuse and recycling collection on schedule. Our teams in the Department of Recreation and Youth Services who opened our R centers for extended hours and kept the Gantt Center open as a warming center on Friday and Saturday. And of course, the men and women of our uniformed services, police, fire, 911, who did what they had to do over the holiday weekend and despite the challenging weather conditions to keep the people of this city safe. I want to thank these teams and the entire city workforce for their work in 2022, and I look forward to working with them in 2023. And of course, I also want to thank our partners in the county for their support during the state of emergency last week. And most of all, thank you to the people of Rochester who stepped up to support each other during the state of emergency and all throughout the year. We have our Kwanzaa display over there, and as you know, today is the third day of Kwanzaa, and the principle is Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. And I can't think of a better day to look back on my first year in office than the day we are called then to reflect on working together, because collaboration has been my #1 principle of my administration. As you know, I brought the mantra that it's not me, but we when I entered office, but I had no idea how relevant that would be. When I delivered my inauguration speech on January 1st, I said Rochester has a past to remember, a present to live, and a future to build. It was just under 4 days in 2022, in just under 4 days, 2022 will be in our past and 2023 will be in our present. The future we are building together is becoming more clear, and it is more exciting and more hopeful than ever. And I will tell you, the biggest source of that hope is the people of Rochester, the residents and stakeholders who fight for this city every day, especially those in our most challenged neighborhoods who refuse to give up on them. Our goal for the city, as we said in the beginning of the year, was to create a safe, equitable, and prosperous Rochester where everyone can reach their full potential through personal, professional, and generational growth. Now that's an ambitious goal, but it's realistic. And because the people of Rochester are the ones working the hardest to make that happen, and now more than ever, they're working together. And that spirit of collaboration is shared by leaders across every level of government, federal, state, and local. So I want to start by thanking Governor Kathy Hochul, who has been a tremendous partner along with our representatives in the state legislature by delivering unprecedented levels of state investment to Rochester, as well as our congressional delegation, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and Congressman Joe Morelle, have also been powerful advocates for Rochester, especially when it comes to helping us deliver equity with the $202 million they delivered through the American Rescue Plan Act. So today I want to look back on the first year in office and tell you why I'm so excited and hopeful about Rochester's future. I'll start with our greatest challenge, violence. That is one of our challenges. I said from the beginning, we were dealing with COVID in January, and then we were dealing with the violence that we had in our community. But we cannot and will never accept a new normal for violence. We saw those numbers up in 2020 and in 2021, and then they kind of continued in 2022. Now, as we stand here today, homicides are less than they were last year around this time, down about 5%. We still have 4 days to go. And shootings are down almost 15%, about 14.89%. Last year around this time, we were at 349 shootings, and this year so far we're at 297 shootings. We've taken 800 illegal guns off the streets. Think about that, 800 illegal guns as of yesterday off of the street. So we still have a long challenge to go, but we are moving in the right direction. We're not happy. We need to get back to pre-2020 levels of violence. I'm reminded my first business day first Sunday of the year in the tragic death of Julius Greer, who was 14 years old. We lost too many young people to violence in our community, and we have to continue to redouble our efforts to change that trajectory in the next coming year, and that will be another priority for us. And 2022 was also a very tough year. It's a year in which, if you go back in history, you look at mayors, we lost not only 911 operators, but we also lost a police officer, Anthony Mazurkiewicz, and we lost firefighter Reyes. So 2022 has been a tough year for us in the public safety front. It's a stark reminder that the men and women who keep our community safe are driven by a higher calling to protect others, even at the risk of their own lives. A higher calling fueled by courage and determination that we must be thankful for. So to meet our objectives on public safety this year, we move forward with that three-part strategy: prevention, intervention, and suppression. And that will be the same strategy that we will take into the new year in 2022. And part of that will be a continued target of illegal guns. As you know, we took 800, as I said, this year, as of today, and that will be a focus going into the new year. And on the suppression side, the RPD has built a historic alliance with our law enforcement partners, including the state police, the sheriff's office, the U.S. Marshal's office, U.S. attorneys, to target the most violent offenders and take illegal guns off the street. In the law department, as you know, I declared a gun violence state of emergency, which is still in effect, and I will review that again in a couple of days. But the law department utilized the expanded authority under the gun violence state of emergency to go after nuisance property owners who create the environments for violence with illegal parties and other after-hour gatherings. We are nowhere near where we need to be, but the numbers of shootings seems, as I said, to be trending downward, and we will accelerate that trend line in the months ahead. And as you know, last week we filed our lawsuit against the gun industry to hold them accountable for their role in this mayhem. We are going to continue to use every single tool available as it relates to public safety. Now, we know that with the Rochester Police Department, we are still dealing with historic staffing shortages, which is why we included funding for a second police academy in the budget this year to speed up recruitment to fill the vacancies. So filling those slots will be another priority as we go into this new year. And as you know, on the prevention and intervention side, the Office of Violence Prevention Programs has expanded the size of the Pathways to Peace Street Outreach Team and is working to help people re-enter society from the incarceration. And as you know, we kicked off the Advanced Peace Pilot Program. And that program aims to disrupt individuals who have the propensity or may end up on a trajectory of being shooters or getting shot. That is a revolutionary program that we have launched and will continue into 2023. And we launched the Rochester Peace Collective to bring a unified approach to community violence prevention programs, $5 million under that umbrella. I am grateful to the many organizations that have signed on to be founding members of the Peace Collective, and I'm looking forward to growing the partnerships in the years ahead. I want to thank the members of Rochester City Council who approved the first group of funding individuals under the Peace Collective. And in the Department of Recreation and Youth Services, we expanded our crisis intervention services to offer more healing and support to those calling 911 and 211 for help. And as I've said, the best form of violence prevention is economic empowerment. And we made tremendous progress on that priority. The Department of Recreation and Human Services started a workforce development and entrepreneurship with community agencies. This will create more than 2,000 career opportunities, and I don't want to say jobs. This is career opportunities for city residents in a variety of areas, including urban agriculture and culinary arts. This is how we're going to start our 2023, with this program kicking off. We are also launching our Mayor's Office on Financial Empowerment. Our financial empowerment centers will be have been a great opportunity for many of our residents to get get interested and learn more about home ownership, entrepreneurship, as well as business development. We increased support for minority and women-owned businesses in our purchasing bureau, and we also made further investments in the Young Adult Manufacturing Training Program, or YAMTAP. And we will continue to make those investments as we go throughout next year, and as we start to plan for, and we've already started planning for, the 2023-24 budget, which is hard to believe. You know, youth development is also very important, and we increased pay for seasonal youth positions in aquatics and our centers, and we increased the internship stipends and created new programs in our R centers and library branches, and are bringing back the Police Athletic League. Next year, in 23, we will further expand our Summer of Opportunity program with even more employers creating summer job opportunities for our youth. And this year, right now as we speak, we expanded a pilot program for urban agriculture, which we also will expand going into 2023. On our strengthening neighborhoods, we made progress to provide our residents with the secure foundation of a home, develop pride in their neighborhoods, and improve civic responsibility among our landlords and commercial businesses. On housing security, we made progress along the entire spectrum, from homelessness to affordable housing to home ownership, and we did it in collaboration with our partners in the human service sector and the development community, thanks in large part to the work of our Housing Quality Task Force that we convened early in the year, and we will have an update on the Housing Quality Task Force right in the beginning of 2023. We created new positions for code enforcement and compliance to go after slum landlords, and we created a position, the first in the city, a dedicated housing attorney. Losing someone to homelessness is no less tragic than losing someone to violence. And like many social concerns intensified by the pandemic, the complexity of homelessness have become more acute. And you know, this topic is very near and dear to me. As the son of a Baptist minister, as someone who spent time working in the homeless sector, going under bridges, getting people into housing, we have made it clear that we are going to recognize people's humanity and say that we are not going to allow people to live on the street idle. We're not going to do that. And as you know, we have set up with 10 other cities a partnership continuum to bring together not-for-profit, City of Rochester, and the county to address this homelessness problem that is often exacerbated by the opioid epidemic. And as you know, we have set up our opioid fund, which we will see more action in the year 2023. In 2023, we will start to make use of the opioid settlement dollars that we have gotten to deal with from the opioid settlements. We also know that the rent burden is a major contributor of Rochester's poverty rate. And we made real progress to reverse it when we opened and cut the ribbon on new affordable housing developments like Edna Craven Estates, Zion Harris Senior Housing, and Pueblo Nuevo. And we've kept critical existing affordable units online with the renovation of Park Square. And we increased investment in home ownership with our Buy the Block program in Upper Falls, which will celebrate its first sets of ribbon cutting this spring. If you remember, we broke ground there, and now we'll be cutting the ribbon in a couple of months. And the Rochester Land Bank, which is a tremendous resource to us in Rochester, acquired dozens of additional vacant properties to sell to responsible owners so they can return them to our housing market. We're also working to build pride in every neighborhood with increased investment in our street trees and community garden programs. As you know, I said I wanted to be the Johnny Appleseed of mayors. It is important that we close the disparity of trees across our community, and we're working on closing that gap with our goal of planting 5,000 new trees over the next 4 years. And already we're up over 1,000 this year, close to 1,000 this year. And I'm building toward a prosperous future. With the support of Governor Hochul, we are literally transforming our center city to take advantage of our tremendous waterfront opportunities. I always tell folks that Rochester is one of the few cities that has a lake, a water, a river, a waterfall, and a canal. And with that 96-foot waterfall in the middle of downtown, we're going to leverage that asset with the first ever state park in the city of Rochester, one of only 3 that will be in the state. And we've already started moving on making sure that we are setting the stage for that state park at High Falls, and that was all this year. And in the past year, we've completed several Rock the Riverway projects, including the Rundale Library North Terrace, which will link to our signature Rock the Riverway project, the Reimagined Aqueduct. Many of you have covered and saw the different community stakeholders that have come together to talk about what they want that to look like. And as you know, one of the biggest infrastructure investments in Rochester's history, which was announced in February. The governor pledged to fully fund the Interloop North, creating more than 20 acres, almost 28 acres of development parcels between downtown and northeast Rochester to deliver environmental justice to black and brown neighborhoods that were ripped apart by the scar across our city. It was called urban renewal, but it really was urban removal. And we are also moving forward with the $10 million state-funded downtown revitalization initiative, coupled with the $5 million Restore New York grant to bring much-needed investment to the area of Main Street and Clinton Avenue in partnership with our partners there. The private sector investment is bringing new levels of public investment in downtown. So this $10 million investment will transform that corner after all these years. The Aqueduct project is a major reason Constellation's brand is moving its national headquarters to the Aqueduct building, and over at the Midtown site, Butler Till has moved into a sleek, modern building on a site that used to be Midtown Wegmans. Innovation Square, Buckingham Properties at Legacy Tower, Wynn Company, and Sibley Square are all assets that we will continue to leverage downtown. And likewise, the Interloop investments are generating tremendous private development, including the expansion of Strong Museum, which we will celebrate its completion next year. So next year, in 2023, we will be cutting a lot of ribbons because of the seeds that have been planted. And in the past year, pandemic is still with us, but we were able to get the crowds back to returning downtown in places like Martin Luther King Park, the Rock Holiday Village, Party in the Park, and our Summer Soul Festival. We had the first ever Juneteenth block party on the steps of City Hall. The first ever Caribbean Heritage block party outside on City Hall. And obviously, a lot of people, several thousand people, were thankful for the return of the Jazz Fest and the programming that took place downtown Rochester at the Parcel 5. So we were excited. Rochester is a festival town. We will continue to invest in cultural community activities that are going to get people together as we go into 2023. And the next year, we're going to keep moving downtown with even more inviting and collaborative opportunities by working with the Rochester Downtown Partnership to host dynamic and engaging outdoor events to make our streets more lively and engaging, to bring downtown energy out where we can see it. Rochester, we deserve a strong downtown, and we want to make sure that we continue to do that in 2023. And we're going to keep investing in affordable housing to make sure in our transformed Center City is a downtown for everybody. Downtown is a neighborhood. We have never had this many people living downtown, and that is only going to contribute to growth. We also made progress in our priority of equity, inclusion, and justice. This priority is embedded in all of our priorities like the Interloop and the support of MWBE businesses. We want to work with our trades and all of our partners in government to ensure that as we invest in that Interloop, that residents of the city are able to take advantage of that large-scale public works project. We also dedicated $1 million to further implement the report of Racial and Structural Equity Commission to do things like kick off the Rock the Block community employment fairs, which provided jobs for hundreds of city residents, and our community total health and wellness fairs. And I want to thank council members Melendez and Lightfoot for working on working with the administration on those two initiatives. So these are just some of the accomplishments of 2022 that will become part of our city's history, our past to remember. And as we continue to move forward into 2023, we will build on these accomplishments and make even more progress toward the future we are building. I am more confident of that today than I was on January 1st. Because if I learned anything in this last year, it's this: Rochester is a community that fully embraces the principle of collective work and responsibility. So on this third day of Kwanzaa, this day Ujima, I call on Rochesters to join with me as we continue to bring this progress into the new year. We will build and maintain our community together. We will make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and we will solve them together. I want to thank my colleagues on City Council for the support that they have provided over the years. I want to thank over this past year, and I want to thank our partners in government. You will even see a bigger partnership going forward. As we move into 2023, another issue that will be top of mind on our legislative agenda is Rochester's fair share. As many of you know, Rochester gets less per capita than what Albany, Syracuse, and Buffalo, they get more than us per capita. We're not asking for more, we're just asking for parity. And that would result in $30 million more to Rochester in 2023. So we want to make sure that we are able to get our fair share so we can continue to deliver results for the city of Rochester. I want everyone to have a safe New Year. It's always a great time to be able to look back and then look forward. We have a lot more work to do in 2023. And then lastly, before I wrap up and take some questions from the media, I want to also thank the team at City Hall, my senior management team. Many of them were newer to government. Many of them had had experience in government, but they came on the first day and said that they were all in. I gathered them actually for a retreat before we even started, and they were ready to work. And there will be even more work ahead, and I want to thank them for their leadership and partnership. You can't run a city by yourself without a strong team, and I'm blessed to be able to have a strong senior management team that has helped me run the city over these last 361 days. So as we end the year, I want to urge everyone to be safe. Please be safe, and I know that we will get started January 1st, 2023.